When I was age 3, the following story is absolutely true. No names have been changed because there are no innocents. When I was 3, I lived on the 3rd floor of a large brick apartment complex. It was shaped like a square with only 3 sides. Even though I was still a pretty small person at age 3, I thought our apartment was very cramped. Seems like all I did was run into furniture that was way too abundant for the available space. Everywhere were sharp corners from tables of all heights. At least I was tall enough that I could reach doorknobs so that they could no longer lock me in my room, unless they locked me in my room. My dad was working on his master's thesis in pharmacy. I remember that he and my mother used to argue about money problems and being in debt. I felt like giving them advice because I had no debt at all. But I kept quiet so they wouldn't lock me in my room. I had a sister that was just over 1 year old. She was still being fed strained peas. She must have liked them because they were always all over her face when she ate. Geez, talk about not knowing where your mouth is. She really suffered that disorder. There was a large parking lot with a big driveway all around the inside of the square. They set aside a small space for a grassy lawn. There, I met a neighbor kid named Brad. That summer, my folks bought me a toy fire truck. I thought it was really cool because the ladder could go up and down and in and out. Prior to this, all my toys were thin plastic and squeaked if you squeezed them. I thought all toys must squeak. One day I went to the grassy patch to show Brad my new toy. He showed me his toy. It was a great big helicopter. It had great big blades and a see-through plastic part. It had covers with lights and parts that could move and be opened and closed. It was so realistic. On one side it had 3 brightly colored buttons. And if you pushed one button, the blades would spin. And if you pushed another button, it would make sounds. And another button, lights would flash. And if you pushed them all at once, it was like a real helicopter. My fire truck didn't have any buttons. I liked his helicopter. I convinced him to trade toys for a few minutes. I fell in love with his helicopter. One day, I really wanted to play with Brad's helicopter, but he wasn't on the grass. I knew where he lived, so I went to his apartment and knocked on the door. Nobody answered, so I kicked on the door. Nobody answered, so I opened the door. Nobody answered, so I just came in and went to Brad's bedroom. Nobody answered, so I went into Brad's closet and found the helicopter. I yelled out, "Can I take this helicopter and play with it?" Nobody answered. I was a model child, so as I left their apartment, I was sure to close the door. I didn't want anybody to stealing anything from them. I took the helicopter down to the grass and played with it. It didn't roll very well in the grass, and it was too heavy to hold in the air and fly it for long. So I discovered I could roll it on the large driveway, and that was much easier. On my hands and knees, I piloted that helicopter almost all the way around the parking lot. By this time, the blades would barely spin, the lights were very dim, and it wasn't making sound anymore. The wheels were all scratched up, but they still rolled. About then, a car pulled up beside me and stopped. I paid no attention to it until it honked. That scares the shit out of a 3-year-old. I looked up as the driver rolled the window down. It was Brad's mom. She wanted to know if that was my helicopter. I said, "No, this belongs to Brad. He lives in your apartment. Don't you remember him?" She asked me where I found the helicopter. Had Brad forgotten it on the grass? I said, "No, it was in Brad's closet." Before I could tell her I was going to put it back when I was finished, she got out of the car and took it from me. I didn't recognize the words she used, but they didn't sound like they were very nice words. That evening, my folks told me I had done something wrong. I pointed out to them that I had shut the apartment door. They said that I was not understanding and that Brad never wanted to play with me again. That meant all I would have to play with was my crappy no-buttons fire truck. I couldn't believe it.